Coming up, a full house at the Fargo School Board meeting. How and why the recall group says they're not backing down.
Help for North Dakota veterans amid the crisis in Afghanistan.
Plus, a big relief for some parents in Grand Forks. How the school district temporarily solved its busing issue. Valley News Live at 10 starts right now.
This is Valley News Live at 10.
New for you at 10, a group of parents who have been petitioning to recall 4 members of the Fargo School Board say they have enough signatures to possibly clear out those seats.
And during tonight's school board meeting, the group made it clear they're not backing down. Here's Valley News Live's Nishay Taylor with more.
Very little seats were left empty as a group of parents and community members packed into the Fargo School Board meeting. They were wanting to speak out against the decision-making of the board, specifically regarding universal masking in the district.
We as the people say enough is enough. You as the Fargo School Board have the honor to serve this wonderful city and its people. We put our trust in you to stand for our best interests, not your best interests.
The group is part of a campaign to recall 4 school board members, and tonight they came face to face with those who they are looking to remove from the board.
Your job on the school board is no longer secure. We have enough signatures for the recall for all 4 board members, and we are going to continue. And we are going to continue to collect signatures all the way up until that due date, just to prove to you how many people are fed up and done with you guys not listening.
The group says they have collected 4,200 signatures from parents and community members. The goal was only to collect 4,000. The 4 board members on the chopping block includes Dr. Tracy Newman, Jim Johnson, Seth Holden, and Nikki Gullickson. One by one, the group continued to speak their piece, proving they aren't backing down.
And we will not stand for this. There are plenty of parents that are willing to take their kids out of public schools. I think you all have already seen it happening. So keep that in mind for next week's meeting and the week after that and the week after that, because we're not done.
Following public comment, the board remained tight-lipped and did not provide a response to the announcement from this recall group. Instead, they moved on with the agenda. And now that enough petitions have been collected, a special election will be called. In Fargo, Nishay Taylor, Valley News Live.
Now, we will continue to follow this developing story and let you know when that special election is scheduled.
Meanwhile, opening day enrollment is up for Fargo Public Schools compared to last year. The district recorded more than 11,000 students as being enrolled today. That's up about 100 students from the start of the 2020 school year. But the district is still down by about 72 students based on their original enrollment projection of more than 11,500. The school board also recognized a lag in academic performance as a result of the pandemic. Data shows that in grades 4 through 8 in the subject of reading during the last school year, there was a deficit or no change in growth made compared to the year before. In math, there was significant decline for students in grades 3 to 9, dropping from 53% in growth made to 36%. Steps to rectify the deficit include the possibility of revising the math curriculum.
There's new information tonight from Grand Forks Public Schools. Parents whose children normally ride the bus don't have to worry about getting those kids to school, at least for now. The superintendent sent an email to parents saying regular bus routes will be available starting Thursday. This comes after Dietrich Bus Services previously announced 8 school bus routes were suspended because of a lack of drivers.
We've been trying really hard to come up with a plan so that that won't have to be the outcome. Unfortunately, that's where we stand today.
Now, while Dietrich was not able to come up with a solution on their own before the first day of school, the city of Grand Forks has now stepped in and offered the use of its buses to help get kids to and from school. The superintendent says they're working to create new routes and will get those details to parents by tomorrow. We're told families will not be required to buy bus tickets, and the district is working to reimburse those families who already have.
Weather conditions have quieted down throughout the valley, but changes are coming. Hutch brings us the latest. Hutch.
Thanks, Stacy. Good evening, everyone. As we close out our Tuesday, we began on a very noisy note. We do have a couple of thunderstorms working their way through Manitoba, but the rest of us fairly quiet for the overnight. We're turning our attention now to Thursday, where you see the green areas here. This is a marginal area or a level 1 on a risk for severe weather. We could see a few severe thunderstorms, but some of us will get some pretty heavy rain. And that is why we have upped that first alert weather day from Friday to now Thursday. So timing on that system has indeed changed. Here's a look at what we are expecting. Strong to severe storms possible, mainly in the southern portion of our viewing area along Highway 200 and points south. Large hail, damaging wind, isolated tornado cannot be ruled out. It does look like some cooler weather is on the way as well. Speaking of that cooler weather, by morning tomorrow, many of us in the 50s, some of you up north in the 40s. Hour by hour details on the stormy weather that we're expecting for your Thursday, and we'll look into that weekend ahead here in just a couple of moments.
All right. Thanks so much, Hutch.
Well, there's some good news to pass along tonight. 2 runaway juveniles we told you about earlier tonight have been found. They were reported missing a couple of days ago from a home in South Fargo. Police are not releasing any details, only saying the girls are safe.
North Dakota healthcare professionals are urging school districts to heighten COVID-19 mitigation efforts. The North Dakota chapter of the American Academy of Pediatrics sent a letter to all school boards in North Dakota asking them to adopt COVID policies consistent with the American Academy of Pediatrics and the CDC. The letter details the importance of keeping kids in school in what they call a safe way. It says all eligible individuals should receive the COVID vaccine and calls for all students older than 2, plus all school staff, to wear a mask. It also says schools should have adequate and timely COVID-19 testing resources available. More than 60 members signed that document.
The resolution is adopted. Without objection, the motion to
The U.S. House has taken a big step in helping President Biden achieve a signature agenda item. Lawmakers approved a $3.5 trillion budget plan, which paves the way for Democrats to pass legislation which includes expanding the social safety net. The House voted on a rule to advance both the budget deal and a separate $1 trillion spending plan described as the bipartisan infrastructure bill. Democrats have outlined 4 main categories they plan to invest in: infrastructure and jobs, families, climate, and health care. We're told funding is included for things like pre-K, affordable housing, and dental, vision, and hearing benefits.
Do you promise to support and defend the constitutional laws of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, so help you God?
I do.
More than a dozen people there took the oath and are now American citizens. That was ahead of tonight's Fargo-Moorhead Redhawks game. 4 of them took part in the ceremonial first pitch and were able to take part in the Pledge of Allegiance and National Anthem before the game tonight. One person who took the oath called it a great opportunity.
I have my family, I have my child, so I think this is the great opportunity this country gave me to make my dreams come true.
President Biden is sticking with plans to withdraw all American troops from Afghanistan by August 31st. The decision to withdraw comes as the Taliban has stated August 31st is the final day as far as they're concerned. Meanwhile, we're told the U.S. military has drastically ramped up the number of evacuations. Oren Lieberman reports.
The tide of Afghan evacuees flowing out of Kabul is at a new peak.
Do they all have passports?
As the effort to move as many people as possible enters its final 7 days. 21,600 people flown out in 24 hours. The U.S. alone flew out 12,700 people, averaging nearly 350 per flight. That's 15 times what the U.S. flew out a week ago. Since August 14th, 58,700 people have been evacuated from Kabul. The airport, which once had 14,000 people on the field waiting for flights, now down to about 5,000, though there are many more outside, desperate to get in. But as the operation improves, the environment grows more tense. The military is monitoring threats from ISIS-K and others, aware that crowds at the airport are a target for terror groups, and the Taliban warning the U.S. to be out by the end of the month, telling Afghans they won't be allowed to pass the road to the airport.
We have indigenous doctors, professors, academics. They are talented people. They are talent of this country. They should not leave this country. They should work in their own specialist areas. They should not go to other countries, to those Western countries.
One question the Biden administration hasn't answered: how many Americans are left in Afghanistan? The White House promised to evacuate every U.S. citizen who wants out, but the Pentagon refusing to say how many that is.
I don't think there's a perfect number that we know with certainty of all Americans in Afghanistan.
The sheer number of Afghans leaving the country has created its own set of problems. A lack of basic sanitation at Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, the first stop for many of those fleeing Kabul.
We recognize that things were and in many ways still are not at the level of sanitation and good hygiene that we want.
Meanwhile, Afghan evacuees beginning to arrive in the United States. In the past 24 hours, 4 flights landed at Dulles International Airport outside D.C. with more than 1,000 passengers. With the part of the operation in the United States just starting, the Pentagon has only days left before it winds down the effort in Kabul. With 5,800 troops on the ground and an August 31st deadline to get them out, the Pentagon knows the last 48 hours are critical. The focus: how to get out thousands of troops who've made it possible to move tens of thousands of people.
Now, amid the evacuation, North Dakota VFW state commander is speaking out. He wants to not only remind veterans they're not alone, but says to all veterans that have served in the Middle East, their service was not in vain. He encourages any vets needing help to call the crisis hotline at 1-800-273-8255.
Rolling Stones drummer Charlie Watts passed away today at the age of 80. The group posted a statement from the drummer's publicist expressing immense sadness at his passing and remembering him as one of the greatest drummers of his generation. Paul McCartney offered his condolences to Watts' family and the band, saying he was a lovely guy. Friend Elton John called Watts the ultimate drummer. Ringo Starr wrote, "God bless Charlie Watts."
Still ahead tonight, if you're planning to attend the Minnesota State Fair, you'll need to budget extra time. We'll tell you why.
And as we head to bed tonight, things much quieter than overnight last night. And that bus stop forecast for those of you getting ready for school in the morning. Get ready for temperatures that'll be cool and comfortable in the 60s. On the way home, well, cooler than the 80s. We're expecting 70s. Your hour-by-hour forecast is next.